Victoria Mboko's epic comeback against Leylah Fernandez, a thrilling battle for the Hong Kong final. The lights of Victoria Park Tennis Stadium burned brighter than ever, casting a fierce golden glow across the court as a crowd of thousands held its breath. It wasn't just another semifinal. It was a battle of generations, a collision of styles, and a moment that would change the trajectory of the 2025 WTA season. On one side stood Leylah Fernandez, the experienced Canadian warrior with a heart as fiery as her left-handed forehand. On the other stood Victoria Mboko, the 18-year-old powerhouse whose rise had been predicted, whispered about, and written off, sometimes all in the same breath. But tonight, under the pressure of a Hong Kong evening, Mboko's destiny would be forged in the fire of a match for the ages. The court set for drama. From the moment the players stepped out, the energy was electric. Fernandez arrived first, stepping onto the court with the calm confidence of someone who had lived through 1,000 battles. Her strides were smooth, her eyes sharp, and her posture radiated experience. She wasn't just here to win. She was here to claim what she believed she deserved, a shot at another title. Mboko followed shortly after, wearing an expression that told a different story. She wasn't nervous, but she wasn't completely collected either. She looked like someone resisting the weight of expectation, while trying to build her own identity. The crowd roared for both, but the sound was noticeably louder from Mboko, the teen sensation, the future star, the one who made fans lean forward in their seats. The commentators prepared themselves. The lines people steadied their eyes. The players bounced on their toes. And then the first ball was struck. Leylah's lightning start. Fernandez came out like a storm, sharp, aggressive, and unforgiving. Her shots zipped through the court with precision. Each forehand landed close to the lines. Each backhand carried the weight of experience. Mboko found herself scrambling early, unsure of timing, unsure of rhythm. Within minutes, Fernandez went up 2-0. Within 20, she led 4-1. And within the first half hour, the scoreboard flashed a brutal truth. 6-3, Fernandez. Fernandez didn't just dominate. She dictated everything. She knew exactly how to move Mboko, how to expose her impatience, how to absorb her power. Every time Mboko tried to hit through the court, Fernandez counterpunched with intelligence and finesse. The crowd murmured, sensing where this could be headed. But those who followed Mboko knew she's never out to the very last point. And she proved that in the second set. A teenager awakens. Something shifted. It wasn't sudden or dramatic, but it was unmistakable. After dropping the first game of the second set, Mboko exhaled, rolled her shoulders back, and stared at the court like she was reclaiming territory. Her first big moment came at 1-2. Facing break point, she launched a 192 kilometers per hour serve down the tee that left Fernandez frozen. The stadium erupted. Mboko didn't scream or fist pump. She simply nodded, almost telling herself, "This is my match too." From there, everything changed. Her forehands grew heavier, landing deeper. Her footwork sharpened. Her eyes locked onto the ball with a different kind of hunger. The match, which had been entirely in Fernandez's hands minutes earlier, slowly and subtly began tilting toward the younger Canadian. At 3-3, Mboko blasted a cross-court backhand for a winner. So clean it seemed to slice through the air itself. Fernandez raised her eyebrows, impressed despite herself. At 5-4, Mboko earned set point. The crowd went silent. Fernandez floated a second serve. Mboko stepped in, unleashed a forehand inside out, and the stadium exploded as the ball smacked the line. Set Mboko. We were going to a third. The final set, a war of wills. When the deciding set began, the energy inside the stadium felt like a storm cloud ready to burst. Every point mattered. Every rally felt like a micro-battle within a larger war. Fernandez fought like a champion. She chased every ball, redirected pace, and refused to allow her opponent even a moment of comfort. But Mboko had crossed a psychological threshold. She now believed she could win. The rallies grew longer. The tension grew heavier, and the crowd grew louder. At 2-2, the match reached its first major turning point. Mboko hit a monstrous forehand down the line that clipped the tape, hesitated in the air, and dropped just inside. Fernandez looked up at the sky, almost laughing in disbelief. At 3-3, Fernandez broke Mboko with a string of fearless returns. She pumped her fist, roaring toward her box. She could taste the final. But Mboko wasn't finished. The comeback of the year. Down 3-4, Mboko delivered two of her best serves of the match. One down the tee, one out wide. Fernandez didn't touch either. At 40-15, Mboko launched a backhand that painted the sideline. Game secured. 4-4. What happened next would go down in Hong Kong tennis history. At deuce on Fernandez's serve, Mboko stepped in and unleashed a forehand so heavy that Fernandez barely reacted before it pierced the corner. The teen raised her fist. One more point. Fernandez hit a second serve. Mboko pounced. A lightning return. A desperate stretch. A ball floating short. And Mboko sprinted forward, slid, and ripped a forehand winner. So clean it sent the stadium into absolute chaos. Break. Mboko leads 5-4. For the first time all night, Fernandez looked rattled. For the first time all night, Mboko looked invincible. Match point magic. Serving for match, Mboko bounced the ball slowly, once, twice, 5 times. She closed her eyes, feeling the weight of the moment. The entire stadium stood on its feet. 15-0. Ace out wide. 30-0. Unreturnable serve. 30-15. Fernandez ripped a forehand winner. 40-15. Mboko crushed a backhand and drew an error. 2 match points. She took a deep breath. She tossed the ball. The serve kicked high. Fernandez returned deep. Mboko stepped in, one last forehand. The ball kissed the line. Game. Set. Match. Victoria Mboko. The roar that followed shook the stadium. People weren't just cheering. They were witnessing the arrival of a new force in women's tennis. Mboko dropped to her knees, laughing and crying at the same time. Fernandez walked to the net and embraced her, whispering something only the two would ever know. The scoreboard told the story. 3-6, 6-4, 6-4. Victoria Mboko advances to the Hong Kong final. A night that changed everything. This wasn't just a comeback. This wasn't just a big win. This was Victoria Mboko's announcement. To the tour, to the fans, to the future of the sport. She had faced a Grand Slam finalist, a fighter, a strategist, and she overcame her with power, courage, and the calm of a veteran. With every shot, Mboko rewrote her own narrative. With every moment, she stepped closer to fulfilling the prophecy that had followed her since her junior days. She was going to be a star. Tonight proved she already is. And now, she marches into the Hong Kong final. Not just as a young prodigy, but as the athlete who delivered one of the greatest comebacks a tournament has ever seen. The world is watching, and Victoria Mboko is ready. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.